It was a quiet room. The air was thick with tension. You could almost taste the unspoken questions. For hours there had been nothing, just denials, just shaking heads, each second a hammer blow in the silence. Then it happened. A single sentence, that was all it took. It shattered the silence. It broke the case wide open. One sentence that changed everything. In true crime, we look for clues, fingerprints, DNA, physical evidence, but sometimes the most powerful clue isn't visible. It's a sound, a voice, a string of words that can't be taken back. But what happens when the confession is not the end of the story? What happens when it's a lie? Because when someone says, "I did it," the story doesn't end. Often it's where the truly chilling part begins. The town of Mapleton was a postcard picture of American life, a bubble of tranquility. But in the autumn of 2003, that bubble burst. A beloved high school teacher, Sarah Jenkins, vanished. Her car was found the next morning. It was as if she had just stepped out for a moment, but she never came back. The investigation began immediately, but days turned into weeks. There were no witnesses, no forensic evidence, but one detective, Frank Miller, couldn't let it go. For him, this was personal. His focus kept returning to one person, a man named David Foster, the school's janitor. He was quickly dismissed as a person of interest, but something about his statement nagged at Miller. It was too neat, too simple. Miller noticed he kept mentioning small, insignificant details, the color of her scarf, a specific book she was carrying. For Detective Miller, these weren't just details, they were red flags. Miller brought him back to the station for hours. David stuck to his story. He knew nothing. Miller changed tactics. He talked about David's struggles, his crushing debt.
"We know you were struggling, David," Miller said softly. "We know you asked her for money."
It hit its mark. The wall was beginning to crumble.
"Her family deserves to know where she is," he pleaded. "Just tell us where she is."
The wall of denial completely disintegrated. He took a deep, shuddering breath.
"She's in the old well," he sobbed, "behind the abandoned mill."
Just like that, it was over. The confession, born of desperation and shame, had finally been given. In 1992, the small rural town of Beatrice, Nebraska, was rocked by a crime so brutal it tore a hole in their quiet reality. Helen Wilson, a beloved 68-year-old grandmother, was found dead in her apartment. There was no sign of forced entry, suggesting Helen might have known her attacker. Fear settled over the community. The case went cold. For 3 years, the murder lingered like a ghost, a constant reminder of the day their innocence was stolen. A new sheriff, determined to solve the case, focused on a woman with a history of mental health issues. She implicated several others. They brought in Joseph White. He denied everything, but the investigators were persistent. They painted a picture of a long prison sentence. They fed him details of the crime, details only the killer could know. They showed him photos, they asked leading questions. His memory began to bend and break. Eventually he gave a confession, a rambling, inconsistent account that mirrored the details the police had fed him. With 2 confessions, police rounded up the others. Faced with the same tactics, several of them also confessed. The trial was a formality, and the prosecution's case rested almost entirely on the interlocking confessions. There was no physical evidence. All 6 were convicted. Justice, it seemed, had been served. For years, the Beatrice 6 sat in prison, their claims of innocence dismissed. Then, more than a decade later, thanks to the arrival of advanced DNA testing, investigators tested the original evidence. The results were a bombshell. The DNA did not match any of the Beatrice 6. It all belonged to one person, a single unknown male. The confessions were proven to be completely false. After spending a combined 70 years in prison, the Beatrice 6 were exonerated. These cases showed the dangerous duality of the confession. It is a double-edged sword. On one side, it is a key, unlocking the grim truth and bringing a painful but necessary closure. On the other, it is a weapon turned against the innocent, obstructing justice and shattering lives. Its power to convict is matched only by its power to corrupt. So where does this leave us? It is meant to make us cautious. It is a call to look deeper, to demand transparency, to ask the next question. When we hear of a confession, our first thought should not be, case closed. It should be, how was it obtained? Because in the chilling silence of an interrogation room, when a life hangs in the balance, the final question must always be, is it the truth?